Hey, what's up, Trading Addicts? Welcome to the weekly watch list. I'm your host, Jeff Kohler, aka Option Addict, from over at TradingAddicts.com. I'm going to kick off the watch list this week with a little bit of market analysis. A little bit top heavy. End of the week, we saw prices starting to weigh down on this 1080 level in the S&P, which has been a pretty important level in my eyes. Break of that I thought would for sure send prices back down to around the 1050 mark. So if we continue to break down beneath that level, look for a bigger retracement. The way I'm approaching this week, though, is honestly I bet you we see a little bit more range-bound trading. So I think the simplistic way to approach this week is to buy low, sell high. Buy stocks when it feels most uncomfortable and sell stocks when it feels most uncomfortable. So with that, I'm up to trade them either way this week, to be quite honest. I want to see how things open up on Monday. But lately, there have been a lot of different cross currents. There have been a lot of mixed signals. So I want to be prepared for anything, believe it or not. So this week, we're going to start off with some dip buying setups, some rip selling setups, and some potential breakouts and breakdowns. Let's take a look. And with that, I still got a lot of good-looking setups from last week's list that have yet to confirm. We'll start with US Steel. I'll go through these really quickly. The headline of the head and shoulders pattern is right here. This TWI, Titan International, which has a really good-looking symmetrical triangle. We saw the breakout. You can see the volume build ever since prices have gotten outside of here. So I do like this right here around the $9.5 to $10 level. Looks really good to me. PEG, which is that descending triangle that's been setting up here for quite a while. You can see the lows down here right at about 30. I think if that level gives way this week, that'll be a good one to short. VMI, which we did get the breakdown there, but as price has been just sitting here flagging, I think if you get any kind of an uptick, especially up to about 78 or so, look to sell them there. Nice little bear flag, or even a descending triangle developing here on the intraday chart. Shaw, you can also look at this one too. This symmetrical triangle did finally break to the downside, and we've seen a little bit of an uptick up here near 30. I think is a reasonable spot to short. Prudential, head and shoulders still hasn't confirmed. Neckline down here at about 47.5, 47. MetLife can be the same thing, same style company here. Looking for a breakdown of that neckline at 35. Principal Financial, it's going to be maybe not as clean looking, but right shoulder still a development here. WFR on Friday finally got that breakdown. I've been tracking the stock for months and months, and the breakdown finally happened. So if you get any kind of a short covering rally, shorts taking some profits, drive prices back up here to 14.5, 15. I think that'll be the beautiful setup for a stock that's been weak so long. I think it goes a lot lower from here. And last but not least from last week's list, FRT. And I like the setup here too, the head and shoulders pattern. Little bit of buying coming in here on Thursday and Friday, but a breakdown beneath about 57.5, and you got to get short this name. This week's patterns include Seagate Technology. I'm a big fan of the old memory device makers, and you can see the pattern here. Looking for a breakout above about 16 and change, it's called 16.25, to buy that. TXI, I like what this guy's doing here, and as of Friday, that's a clean break to me, so that's a good-looking short. Volume increased on that breakdown, so I'm looking for a move back down to roughly the 200-day moving average at about 32, which probably takes a few weeks, but it looks good from here. Also, going over into materials, I really like the way this little tech has been holding up. You might need to get down into, let's go to a 30-day chart to blow this one up. With downside pressure in stocks, tech really hasn't gone down a whole lot. So with the way this thing's been holding up, I'm looking for a print above 34, and I think you got to buy that breakout. Let's zoom back out and go to the next one here. Sienna. We had a pretty good debate on this one earlier in the week, but take a look at this. And what did it for me was that this last sell-off through here, early October, came through in a lot of volume, and right now it's breaking the neckline of a pretty big head and shoulders pattern. So maybe over the next couple of months, a test back into single-digit territory, but I do like what it's doing here. It looks pretty good. Also in tech, the semiconductors are doing a little bit of this right now, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them start to heat up. And LRCX, I like this little flag pattern here. I don't want to buy it until it breaks above about 37.5, but you're going to see this pattern across most semiconductors right now. If you want to get bearish, the KRE. If you don't want to pick out a name in regional banks like Zions, which is my favorite, you sell this pattern here. Get you some longer dated puts. The volume has been pretty up and down throughout the apex, this little triangle pattern here. But once the lows give way at about 20.5, I think you got to develop a longer dated short position here. It doesn't look bad. With earnings coming up, I'm a big fan of MicroStrategy over earnings. Always have been. This has been kind of my sleeper stock. So look for a breakout here. The way it's been trading, the way volumes come into play, I think this thing goes a little bit higher. BOKF, BOK Financial. And look at this guy. This is another one of my little just off-the-wall financials. Trading really, really well on Friday. A lot of volume. I like the pattern that's setting up here. So maybe a breakout over earnings. Couple others. General Cable, BGC. This thing's coiling up, getting ready to pop here. I think that one makes for a pretty big move, and not just on earnings. I think there'll be some follow-through there. And going over into retailers, retailers held up pretty well last week. You've got Ralph Lauren with a nice little triangle up here at its highs, and also WRC coiling up, not as much of an ascending triangle, but more of a pennant, symmetrical triangle, whatever you want to call it here, watching for a breakout here as well. Two more. Infosys, take a look at this one. Traded pretty well on Friday, all things considered. And last but not least, my sleeper, CISG. I like what this guy did on Friday. Even though it gave back a lot of its gains, check out all that volume that came into play. I like what this one did. So that's my list for the week, folks. You notice I didn't throw any $10 darlings in there. I'm kind of pumping my brakes on small caps here. I'll take some individual setups that show up throughout the week, and look for me to update those on the ticker. But aside from that, I really want to focus on the individual strong setups, look to play those until the market starts to confirm its next directional move. So with that, I'm going to call it good. This has been the Option Addict. That's been my watch list. Thanks for watching. Have a good week.
Yeah, a lot of pressure. You got to rise above it. You got to harness in the good energy, block out the bad. Harness, energy, block, bad. Feel the flow happy. Feel it.